So let me just share that with you right now. You can read with me. So as you can see, the verses here, they have a different meter, so we'll not chant them. But the translation is the following. When the milk and curd are kept high on a swing hanging from the ceiling and Krishna and Balaram cannot reach it, they arrange to reach it by piling up various planks and turning upside down the mortar for grinding spices. Being quite aware of the contents of the pot, they poke holes in it. While the elderly gopis go about their household affairs, Krishna and Balaram sometimes go into a dark room, brightening the place with the valuable jewels and ornaments on their bodies and taking advantage of this light by stealing. Purport. Formerly, in every household, yogurt and butter were kept for use in emergencies. But Krishna and Balaram would pile up planks so that they could reach the pots and would then pick holes in the pots with their hands so that the contents would leak out and they could drink it. This was another means for stealing butter and milk. But when the butter and milk were kept in a dark room, Krishna and Balaram would go there and make the place bright with the valuable jewels on their bodies. On the whole, Krishna and Balaram engaged in stealing butter and milk from the neighborhood houses in many ways. And the next one. When Krishna is caught in his naughty activities, the master of the house will say to him, "Oh, you are a thief," and artificially express anger at Krishna. Krishna will then reply, "I'm not a thief, you're a thief." Sometimes being angry, Krishna passes urine and stool in a neat, clean place in our houses. But now, our dear friend Yashoda, this expert thief is sitting before you like a very good boy. Sometimes all the gopis would look at Krishna sitting there with his eyes fearful, so that his mother would not chastise him. And when they saw Krishna's beautiful face, instead of chastising him, they would simply look upon his face and enjoy transcendental bliss. Mother Yashoda would mildly smile at all this fun, and she would not want to chastise her blessed transcendental child. Purpose. Krishna's business in the neighborhood was only to steal, but sometimes would pass stool and urine in a neat, clean house. When caught by the master of the house, Krishna would chastise him, saying, "You're a thief." Aside from being a thief in his childhood affairs, Krishna acted as an expert thief when he was young by attracting young girls and enjoying them in the rasa dance. This is Krishna's business. He is also violent as a killer of many demons. Although mundane people like non-violence and other such brilliant qualities, God, the absolute truth, being always the same, is good in any activities, even so-called immoral activities like stealing, killing, and violence. Krishna is always pure, and he is always the supreme absolute truth. Krishna may do anything supposedly abominable in material life, yet still he is attractive. Therefore, his name is Krishna, meaning all attractive. This is the platform on which transcendental living affairs and service are exchanged. Because of the features of Krishna's face, the mothers were so attracted that they would not chastise him. Instead of chastising him, they smiled and enjoyed hearing Krishna's activities. Thus, the gopis remained satisfied, and Krishna enjoyed their happiness. Therefore, another name of Krishna is Gopijana Ballabha, because he invented such activities to please the gopis. Om Ajnana Tinmirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we are hearing today about Krishna's pastimes, and this is quite amazing. You know what we're hearing today. Krishna's being like, an absolute naughty boy, as naughty as you can get, basically, and if you're just joining now in the Bhagavatam and in readings like that, this may be a little too much. We've been going over 10 cantos, and this is the 10th one. just establishing who Krishna is, so that when we read this, we're not going to be so perturbed by Krishna's activities. Oh, this is Krishna? This is what he's doing? This is so immoral. This is so horrible what he's doing. He's going around people's houses, breaking their pots, passing urine and stool in clean places, lying, just like, this is your conception of God, right? But, how are we judging this? We have to understand that, what is morality? In Victorian times, if a lady were to show above her ankle, that would be immoral. Later on during in the 50s and 60s in America, right? What would happen? You would have people that would call immoral a lady who would dress in a mini skirt, right? Nowadays, I don't know. what do you call immoral nowadays in those terms? Also, men versus women. If a lady sleeps with 20 guys, she's called a prostitute. If a guy sleeps with 20 women, he is called a hero. In animals, we see that there are so many laws that prohibit and would even put a person in jail if they leave a dog or their cat inside their vehicle on a hot day with all the windows rolled up, right? So that's so immoral that you'll be put in jail, and yet it's okay if you test mice in the laboratories and doing all sorts of horrible experiments on them. They're not even called mice anymore. They call them at that point just animal models. That's a technical term. They desensitize everything, calling them animal models. And what to speak of, like the cows and the pigs and all the animals that we use for eating, right? And there's nothing to say about that. What about the movies? In the movies, there are things that went by like in the 90s. Nowadays, you can't show them really. You can't get away with some of the jokes and things like that they used back then, because now because of the political arena and everything, they would be immoral, like that. For just an example, there's this movie called Shallow Hal, right? And in this movie, it's all about this guy who's completely shallow and just likes women for their body. So he gets a spell on, and starts seeing all the women as very all the women for their internal beauty, even though outside they may not be so beautiful. And there's a lot of what we now call fat shaming, body shaming in there. Now we have even a term for that, body shaming. Back then in the 1990s, that was not a thing, so they could get away with that. So so many things like that. Our morality is so conditional on who it is, on the time, on the place, and it's changing all the time. So we cannot look at the Srimad Bhagavatam with this mundane vision, because if we do, we're going to miss the boat. Where what we think is, I am basically we're passing judgment. We're passing judgment on very temporary conditional circumstances. So what is morality? Is morality really that abstract? Well, in a sense, we could say morality is anything that pleases Krishna. If this makes Krishna happy, then go, we're all for it. And that is morality. If Krishna says, you should lie, then that is the highest morality. Krishna told Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he told him, you should go and lie. Now, the Yudhishthira, he was known for being like perfectly moral in every sense. And in the middle of a battle, Krishna told him, go ahead and say a lie. They were losing. They were losing because Dronacharya was one of the great warriors there, was just killing everybody. He was just, doing a rampage. And Krishna said, like, we have to discourage him. The only way that we can discourage him is by telling him that his son has died in the battle, right? And if anybody else would say it, they wouldn't believe. But if Yudhishthira says it, because he always tells the truth, always, no matter what, then it will be said. So Krishna told him, say that Ashvatthama is dead. Say that Dronacharya's son is dead. And he hesitated. He hesitated. He was like, eh. So he went like, okay. He thought of something. Like he said, like, okay, Ashvatthama, the elephant is dead, because there was an elephant who was also called Ashvatthama, right? And so he said, Ashvatthama the elephant is dead. But just as he was saying the elephant, Krishna blew his conch. Ashvatthama is dead. And so Dronacharya heard that. He just got so discouraged. He just said, you know what? I can't. He just sat down and he started meditating. And I'm not going to fight anymore. And then his head was cut off at that point. And then that he was not a menace anymore to the Pandavas. So, you would say like, oh, Krishna made his devotee lie. Yes, that is the highest truth. That is the highest morality. Following Krishna, surrendering to Krishna, is the highest morality. Why? Because Krishna says, that he says that he will take all of the sins away from us. Just surrender unto me, and I will deliver you from all sins. Do not fear. All sins. So he is beyond this relative things. When we look at Krishna, he is God. He can do these things. He is because he is God, he can do these things. We can't. That is a big difference between us and him. He is God. He is the supreme absolute truth. We are not. If he were bound to our moral codes, first of all, it would be very confusing, right? Because as I said, in different times, in different places, he'd be judged. And in fact, he has been judged like that. When he came as Lord Ram, when Krishna came as the avatar of Lord Ram, he followed all the moral codes. He was a perfect human being. And that was what that incarnation was about, following the rules. And part of that at that time was, that your wife has to be perfectly chaste, and that you as a king should show by example, right? And his wife had been kidnapped by the demon Ravana. And when he rescued her, then the big thing came with that, well, you were in his house, which at the time the morality showed that, that's reprehensible, right? If a lady stayed at somebody else's house, for the night, for to speak of many nights, even though she was captured, she was being held hostage, right? He was just following the rules of that time that said, it's, you don't know what happened in that house. So, she may have committed adultery. So she said, fine, I will enter into fire. And if I've been unchaste to you, then the fire will consume me. If not, then I will come out. And she came out, no problem. So she had been completely chaste. But then after that, he was criticized by one dumb person in the kingdom that said like, oh, he wasn't even like directly criticizing him, but like indirectly saying like to his wife, like, oh, you spent the night in this. Do you think that I'm so foolish as Lord Ram? And Lord Ram heard this. And so just to set an example, just to follow the moral codes and like that, he had to ask her to leave. Now, nowadays, he will even be judged for that. So even God is judged. Even he is, for following moral codes, because moral codes are constantly changing. So we cannot look at these scriptures from that point of view. Krishna, the wonderful thing about Krishna is that he doesn't have to follow any codes. The wonderful thing about Krishna is that he goes ahead and said like, no holds bar. I am, I can do whatever I want because I am God. And we love him for that. Because of that, he's able to dance with so many of his devotees, like and in a conjugal rasa, in a conjugal mood. So many of the sages, when Lord Ram was there, they were saying like, we would like to be with you, my Lord, And he said like, yeah, well, I can only accept one wife in this incarnation because that, that's the moral code and everything like that. But when I come back as Krishna, then you can be gopis. You can be, and you can dance with me because I will have no restrictions there. So Krishna is the highest personality, the supreme personality of Godhead. And he can do anything he wants. And that is what is amazing about him, that he can do all of these things. If we look at the Srimad Bhagavatam with these lenses of moral codes like that, we'll end up like Gorsharan Prabhu, who is at the Bhakti Center. He told us some time ago that he was reading these articles by scholars, mundane scholars about the Srimad Bhagavatam, and one of them was this lady who was like some PhD in something, and she was analyzing the Bhagavatam from the point of view of women's rights, and that she was saying that how horrible it is the way that they treat women in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That these gopis, they're the way that Krishna deals with them, and the way that is just so immoral like that. So and how they're put down, and that basically she was putting all these women's issues that are, yes, nowadays like that, but putting it into the Bhagavatam, missing completely the understanding of what Krishna, how he's reciprocating with his devotees, what is happening like that. So if we don't understand the basics, that aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarva pravartate, that I am the Lord of everything emanates from me, that maya dikshena prakriti suyate characharam, that material nature is working under my authority, right? And that bhoktaram yagatapasam sarva loka maheshvaram, that he is the supreme enjoyer, that he is the Lord of everything, all the demigods, everything. We will misunderstand. That is why we went through 10 cantos, so that we can understand that Krishna, whatever Krishna does, is pure, perfect, and complete. So that when we see Krishna here, lying, stealing, and passing urine and stool on nice, clean places of houses, we will relish it instead of judging him. There was this devotee that was telling me about somebody, some devotee in the Middle East. He was preaching to this group of Muslims in the Middle East, right? And they got extremely angry at him when he even suggested that Krishna, that God had a sense of humor. So how are we looking at things? If we understand the amazing infinite personality of God, we will see that actually he does everything for our benefit. We would say, like, well, if God is kind of why does he make it such that he can do this and I can't? That would be like, well, why can he have so many ladies and I can't? Why can he lie and I can't? Why is it moral if he does it and I can't? Right? Well, first of all, just try to see, like, what is the mentality behind this, right? It's sort of like selfish, like, I should be able to do this. But then, understand also that, Krishna says that Sukritam Sarvabhutanam, I am the well-wishing friend of everyone. Whatever God does is always for our ultimate benefit, right? So one may say, well, how is God, benefiting somebody by passing urine and stool in the sacred places in that person's house? In what way is his stool and urine, benefiting that person? Well, think about this. At the Bhakti Center, what are the walls made of? Cow dung, right? And when you're going to purify an altar, what do you use? Cow urine and cow stool. That is like one of the most purifying things that you can do to an altar. Now, this is coming from a cow. What to speak of coming from God? If it's pure coming from a cow, how much more pure is it from God? God is absolute, so everything is absolute. What is it? When God, when he tastes something, his saliva, when it comes in contact with food, the food remnants become Mahaprasad, and we honor that as having so much spiritual potency, and we fight for it. That Mahaprasad that is going to come in just 1 week's time. Everybody's going to be going for that Mahaprasad. At the altar. Yeah, there's the regular prasad that everybody takes, but that Mahaprasad, that's the one everybody wants, because there were special things. But it has Krishna's saliva. Yes, especially because it has that Krishna saliva. We chant every morning. We chant every morning because Krishna's name is pure. It purifies us. Just hearing him. Just remembering Krishna and his activities is purifying. Om Pavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yaksmaret Pundarikakshan. So we hear that even just remembering Krishna, just having him, it purifies us. It purifies us both within and without. He is pure. He is the all pure. So if he passes urine and stool in a place, that is the greatest benediction for that person, because it is even more pure than cow urine and cow stool. Way more, there is no difference between Krishna and his pastimes and his name and his paraphernalia and his urine and stool. There is no difference. It's all Satchidananda Vigraha. We have to understand this understanding that Krishna's urine and stool is Satchidananda Vigraha as well. And because of that, it has been completely, it has purified the place by doing that. When Krishna speaks, he's the absolute truth. He's the absolute truth. Is he lying? No, because he's the absolute truth. Whatever he says is truth. But he said that he was not eating dirt, and he did eat dirt. And he said that he was not stealing, and he was stealing. Again, this is all for the benefit of the people there. You can see that Prabhupada says, that Mother Yashoda was mildly smiling at all this fun. She was having fun with this. She was relishing hearing this. And the gopis that were coming in to complain, they were also enjoying it. When Krishna does any of these things, it's so much fun, so much incredible, because even the mundane things, like if you do something like I'm just going to put it like if somebody were to if a child were to pass urine and stool anywhere, and especially in another person's house, obviously the mother would go like, oh my God, I'm sorry, like that. But guess what the mother will do years after that? She will talk about how her son or her daughter, passed urine and stool and like that. And oh my God, it was such embarrassment, blah, blah, blah. But she will be saying it with so much happiness, right? Just remembering like how naughty, how out of control, her son or daughter was back then. She'll be relishing that. Or the same thing, when people nowadays, get drunk or something like that, and they do some horrible things like passing urine and stool in other places. They at the moment they're like, oh, like that. But then they will relive it, saying like, oh my God, and do you know what this guy did? Oh yeah, he did. And they will enjoy it, right? Well, how much more do we enjoy it when Krishna does it? How much more do we relish that when Krishna does it? We say like, yeah, God is out of control. Krishna is out of control, and we love him for it. He is the absolute truth. He is the greatest, and he passes urine and stool on other people's houses. And so because of that, we actually love him, because we want that. We want these one of the rasas, one of the 12 rasas is shock. And how are you going to get shock? Well, Krishna knows how to get the best shocking factor. Now there was a TV called Shock Factor, right? And they were trying to work on that rasa. Well, Krishna here is giving us the greatest shock factor program ever. People want to be shocked, because that is one of the rasas, and he'll give us shock, and he'll do it in the most endearing way. When Krishna does these things, we get purified by hearing it and appreciating it. But it's important that we understand the picture of who he is and what is that effect on everyone. The effect of him doing this is not that just that, oh, he had fun. but also that everyone there, all the gopis, they were enlivened. Their maternal love for him just grew to no bounds. He knew he is Rasa Raj. Krishna is Rasa Raj. He knows how to get the greatest mellows, the greatest tastes in every situation. So he sees that these are devotees of mine in the parental mood. This is what will bring it out of them. In fact, Mother Yashoda would sometimes say like, "Oh, he has been so naughty. I think I have to punish him. I definitely have to punish him." And what do the other gopis say? Like, no, it's okay, it wasn't that bad. They come to complain to Yashoda just because they want to, relish that. Just say like, "Oh my God, your son is so terrible." They want to, experience that, just saying like, "Krishna is out of control. Just see what he does." They're doing kirtan. That is kirtan. And besides, who is telling all these stories? Ask yourselves, who is telling all these stories about Krishna passing stool and urine? It is Shukadev Goswami, a sage among sages. And who did he hear this from? From Veda Vyas, who wrote the Vedanta Sutras, who wrote the Upanishads. He is telling about Krishna passing urine and stool. He is glorifying Krishna for passing urine and stool. When Krishna sleeps, universes come out of his body as Mahavishnu. Right? When we sleep, the only thing that comes out of us is drool. When Krishna lies, he wins a war, and dharma, religiosity is reestablished. When we lie, we get in trouble. Right? So if we understand that, that we are not God, and that actually, what does it mean to be God? It means that he can do it. There would be no point in being the absolute truth if we could do everything he did. There is no difference between the master and the servant in that sense. If we understand that, yes, Krishna can do this, and he is amazing for it, and we appreciate him, and we relish it, then our life is perfect, and we will benefit from it, from just hearing about Krishna passing the urine stool. So I'm going to leave that here, 7:51. Enough talking about urine stool. Any questions? Any comments?
Great class, Murali Gopal Prabhu. Very graphic examples. The chat box is exploding. All right. Would anyone like to reflect or ask a question? Evan G. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, the purport that we just read, it has there's some commentaries. Can you hear me okay?
Not so much. Can you speak louder?
I'll just get closer. Is this all right?
It's a little bit better.
So the purport of 31, text 31 that we just read, there's some commentaries given that the stool and urine that Krishna passes is actually illusory. It's not actually stool and urine, but for the sake of the pastime, Yogamaya manifests stool and urine. I just thought that was really a sweet, funny point, that Krishna's, poop is fake. And then also, it's also
saved Krishna's reputation, Evan.
It's also said that when he was telling the gopis that they are thieves, it's because he was thinking he owns everything. He's the supreme proprietor. He was speaking that tattva, but that rasa was kind of eclipsing it. So yeah, I just wanted to mention those two commentaries.
Yeah, that's a good point. When he says that I'm not stealing, you are stealing, it's because Krishna says that everything belongs to him, right? And if somebody says like, why are you taking this away from me? It's like, no, why are you taking it away from me? So in the ultimate sense, we can always see that Krishna is right in everything that he does. There is you can always excuse him because there is something like that. But in the highest sense, we don't care. we just want to make him happy because that will make us happy. So can we find scriptural references? Yes, we will always find scriptural references to understand why Krishna was right. For example, why was he being so immoral that he was dancing with other women? The women that were already married with other men. Well, the acharyas comment that when Krishna stole the gopis' clothes before they were married, that in a way only happens before the husband, and also because Krishna, everything belongs to him, even us and everything. So he, those ladies were his ladies. Those gopis were his gopis. But in the ultimate sense, it's everything belongs to Krishna. Everything is for Krishna's pleasure. And when we act in that way, then that is the highest moral. Now, we have to be careful when we apply this. Because some devotees back in the day, they would apply, Krishna tricking when they would be, selling books, right? And anything goes as long as I'm able to distribute this book to somebody, right? Yes and no. I mean, it did distribute a lot of books that way, but then devotees also got bad reputation for it. So we have to understand, we should be happy when Krishna does it, but we should not imitate Krishna, saying that, this is for Krishna's pleasure, so I can lie like this. In some occasions, we have to be judges of time, place, and circumstance, and be very careful on how we apply it, because how are we going to generally convince somebody of our philosophy when they trust us? We do not really convince somebody from logical arguments. From logical arguments, nobody just goes like, oh yeah. Have you ever been in a heated discussion, and then you said something, and that person said like, oh yeah, you're totally right. That argument just made total sense, and what I was saying, makes no sense. I think you're right. How many times has that happened to you? Even if the person knows, or if you know that is right, still it's like, no, that is not possible. No, that something will be said. But out of logical arguments, we cannot convince people. We convince people is because they trust us. Because they trust us. Because they go like, oh, well, whatever this person is saying or doing must be good, because I trust this person. And the only way that this person, that these people are going to trust us, is if we become trustworthy. If we're lying and passing urine and stool in their houses and stuff like that, they're not going to trust us. that's not going to help. So we have to be careful on how we apply, this, like, I'm able to do anything because, for the ultimate thing of Krishna. If we do it in a right way, it will help us. And it will benefit that person, and that person will also be thankful for that. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Drew.
Sorry, I'll go after you.
Only 2 minutes.
It's a follow-up to yours.
Okay.
Yours something different?
Oh yeah, just something different.
Just another thing on Evan's point about Krishna. Another thing is that like we have a body that is made of material elements, and then that's different from our soul, which is spiritual. Krishna's body is totally spiritual, and it's actually explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that he doesn't have bones and he doesn't have organs. So he doesn't need to like digest and process his food and have urine and stool like we do. Like, our body, like we take food as nourishment, and then that's how it like eliminates the toxins. For Krishna, it's not like that. Like he has no need to eat, but he eats just to accept the offering of foodstuffs in the spiritual world, because the foodstuffs themselves are completely spiritual living entities. And so that's just further proof that anything that comes from him, like Evan was saying, it's actually described by the acharyas that this urine and stool was illusory. So like, yeah, it's completely illusory because it's not coming from any process within his body. His body is completely spiritual. He's just like manifesting it. Why? For the sake of giving pleasure to his devotees. That's why he does everything in the spiritual world is only for the sake of giving pleasure to his devotees. And the only reason why anyone in this spiritual world does anything is only for the sake of giving pleasure to Krishna.
Right. Yeah. I mean, think about this. An incarnation of Krishna, Lord Rishabdev, it is said that his stool, was fragrant. It was actually smelled fragrant, and it did it for 80 miles. Whenever he would pass stool, it would be fragrant for 80 miles. So it's not like ours. This is such an Ananda Vigraha stool and urine. It's fragrant. It's you want to smell it. It's not like what we do when we eat the Mahaprasad.
Thank you for this point. I just wanted to say
Really hot topic here. Wow.
I heard a story from Malati Prabhu, and she was telling a story about how there used to be a delivery truck that would deliver butter to the temple, and they were really low on funds at that time. So when the delivery person was like not around, she would go sneak in the truck and take about 7 pounds of butter a week. She would steal like 1 pound of butter a day. And then Prabhupada found out about this. And he kind of said to her, Krishna also steals butter. And then she understood from that there's some things that Krishna can do that she's not allowed to do. And stealing is wrong.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? It's really burning. I'm sorry, I have to ask it. What about Sita Devi? Did Lord Ram really send her away, or it was this illusory Sita that was kidnapped in the first place? It's just so heartbreaking, that ending of Ramayana.
Yeah,
Do we have some Ramayana pundits?
It was the actual Sita that was sent away, because the illusory Sita, she left when Sita entered the fire. When Sita entered the fire, that illusory Sita left there, and the real Sita came out of that fire. And the reason, the ultimate reason why Lord Ram sent her away is so that she could also experience that Vipralamba Bhav, that love and separation, because it's the highest. So again, whatever the Lord does, it's always for the highest benefit. It's always for the to increase the love of his devotees, to increase that rasa.
Don't try that at home. Right? Don't send your
What we can get is that, like whatever happens in our lives, generally like we like certain mercy, but we don't like other types of mercy. Right? If we understand that, all our complications in life, that all the things that are quote unquote from our karma, these things are actually coming from Krishna, that he is actually helping us in different ways, then we will see that we will reciprocate with God in a much more substantial way, rather than just cursing, like, oh, like this devotee at the ashram, that is so horrible, and always doing this and that to me. It's like, no, actually, this is Krishna showing me something, trying to help me in something in my life. What is Krishna trying to point out to me? Why am I getting so disturbed by this devotee? What is creating that difficulty in my mind? Why am I so averse to this specific action of that devotee? And then that will bring us realizations. Why am I so disturbed, with this event in my life? These things, if we actually start thinking about it, it will bring about transformation in our life. And this is what we are here all about, right? We want transformation. If we, if you came to Krishna consciousness for validation, then you're in the wrong place, because here is all about transformation of the heart. And becoming a better person, requires work. What is that work? That work is being able to work with others. When you work with others, when you try to work with others for the sake of Krishna, Krishna will bring all of these realizations into your life. He will do this. Then you can say, how wonderful is Krishna for everything that happens.
Thank you. How wonderful is Krishna for everything that happens. Hare Krishna. Okay. Do we have any final comments, questions? We're going to have Chaitanya Charan soon giving class. We're going to question him on that. Stool and marriage, sending the wife away. He can handle those hard questions really nicely.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to this incredible pastime. And thank you,
Murali Gopal Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari. Jai Shri Radha Mudidar, Jai Shri Gaura Chandra. Jai Shri Radha Mudidar, Jai Shri Gaura Chandra. 5